city has abandoned people who are unhoused. They have been bringing water, food, shelter, and community to encampment residents. But we also know that many of the people that are facing charges are unhoused themselves. They are the brunt of who faces the criminalization, both in the defense to housing and in the organizing around that, and are facing the most serious charges. They are people who have faced criminalization while they have lived unhoused, just for their poverty and for the fact of living unhoused. They have faced threats from the city throughout COVID to try to push people into unsafe shelter conditions, and finally were violently evicted and arrested for trying to defend their housing. The city, the police, and now the criminal legal system is punishing people for this defense. We urge the Crown to withdraw these charges because there is clearly no public interest in their continued prosecution. People who are charged are committed to fighting these charges together so that every single charge is dropped, and are committed to challenging all of these prosecutions by bringing up all of the rampant charter violations that happened during these arrests. People were denied access to counsel. People were detained unlawfully for over 12 hours and then violently arrested for expressing a political opinion and organizing together in the defense of housing. That clearly violates People's Section 2, Section 9, Section 10 Charter of Rights and Freedom rights. All of these charges and tickets must be withdrawn, and people are prepared to forcefully defend themselves all the way to trial if necessary.
Drop the charges!
In the meantime, I think this election makes it very clear the need for people's leadership and organizing to address the underlying crisis at hand. All of our major federal parties are failing to address the real problem. They frame the housing crisis as a home ownership crisis. We know that in Toronto especially, it is a crisis of basic access to shelter, with nearly 10,000 people unhoused, 85,000 people on the affordable housing list, and over 35,000 people imminently at risk of eviction today.
50 years of advocating for housing, and we got more homeless than ever.
Exactly.
The issue is poverty.
And we know the issue is poverty, but we also know that this crisis results from political choices made by the City of Toronto and all three levels of government.
50 years of asking for shelters, that's what you got, shelter.
It's the political choice to prioritize profit and the privatization of a basic need. That is what has resulted in the crisis in our parks this summer.
And people started advocating 50 years ago about poverty, we wouldn't have this situation. Instead, they all wanted more shelters and more housing. And now we got more homeless than ever, and everybody's poor.
We must
talk about poverty being the root cause of homelessness. And that's what it is, poverty. That's the root cause of homelessness.
The criminal charges are an example of the criminalization of people's organizing. We know that we must stand together to defend this organizing because that is the only thing that has brought real solutions for our community. And so we ask all of you to remain involved, to join us in this fight, and call for all charges and tickets to be dropped, and demand that all levels of government take real action and commit to providing housing for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seema.